Jake Carter had never had a problem with his home. He had purchased it 5 years ago, specifically choosing a house that was not part of a homeowners association. He had heard all the horror stories. Homeowner associations fining people for leaving their trash cans out 5 minutes past collection time, mandating the exact shade of beige allowed for front doors, or even repossessing homes over unpaid, ridiculous fees. He wanted none of that. That's why he had gone through extra trouble during the buying process, ensuring his house was in an independent zone separate from the nearby homeowner association controlled community. He had even received written confirmation from the city when he moved in. This was his house, his land, and everything in his backyard, including the beautiful pool he had built, was entirely his property. It was a hot summer afternoon when the trouble began. Jake had just finished a long day of work and was looking forward to a relaxing swim. He grabbed a cold beer, changed into his swim trunks, and sank into the crystal-clear water of his private pool. The sun beamed down, the water felt perfect, and for the first time all day, he felt at peace. Then the gate to his backyard swung open. Startled, Jake turned his head and saw a middle-aged man in a polo shirt, black cargo pants, and a utility belt marching toward him. He had a clipboard in one hand and a walkie-talkie strapped to his shoulder, but the thing that caught Jake's attention the most was the homeowner association badge pinned to his chest. Jake sighed. "Can I help you?" The man stopped a few feet from the pool's edge, adjusting his stance like he was preparing to issue a police citation. His tone was authoritative, like he had every right to be there. "Sir, you are in violation of homeowner association regulations," the man announced. "We have received a complaint about your pool, and I'm here to enforce compliance." Jake furrowed his brow, wiping the water from his face. "I'm sorry, what?" The man, who now acted like a cop, flipped through the pages on his clipboard. "Your property falls under Section 12, Clause 8 of the Northview Community Homeowner Association Charter, which states that all pools must meet homeowner association standards. This includes size, fencing regulations, and approved color schemes. Your pool does not comply." Jake chuckled, thinking this had to be some sort of joke. "That's cute," he said, "but I'm not in the homeowner association." The so-called homeowner association cop narrowed his eyes, clearly unimpressed. "That changed last month when new zoning laws brought your home into the homeowner association jurisdiction." Jake stopped laughing. "What new zoning laws?" "The homeowner association board voted to extend its reach into non-compliant properties in the area." The man continued, as if reading from script. "Your home is now part of our community. As such, you are required to abide by homeowner association regulations, including restrictions on pool usage." Jake shook his head. "No, you don't get it. My house isn't in the homeowner association. I checked when I bought it. I have paperwork from the city proving it." The man didn't blink. "Sir, as of last month, this property is under homeowner association jurisdiction. You are now required to attend homeowner association meetings, pay homeowner association fees, and follow homeowner association rules." Jake felt his frustration rising. "I never signed anything agreeing to that. And legally, the homeowner association has no control over private property outside its original charter. So unless you have a court order, you're trespassing." The homeowner association cop shifted his weight and smirked. "You want to reconsider your stance. Non-compliance leads to daily fines. Right now, you're in violation for improper fencing and unauthorized pool activity. That's a $250 fine per day. If you refuse to cooperate, those fines will escalate, and eventually, a lien can be placed on your property." Jake blinked, stunned. "A lien? For using my own pool?" "Yes," the man said casually. "It's in your best interest to comply." Jake stared at him, barely believing what he was hearing. A random guy with a homeowner association badge had just walked into his backyard uninvited and was now threatening him with fines and legal action for using his own private pool. The sheer audacity of it made his blood boil. "Get off my property," Jake said firmly. The homeowner association cop didn't move. Instead, he made a show of writing something on his clipboard. "I'll be filing an official report with the homeowner association board. Expect your first fine in the mail by the end of the week." Jake took a deep breath, holding back his anger. "And I'll be expecting you to get served with a trespassing notice if you step foot here again." That got reaction. The man's smirk faltered for half a second before he recovered. You might want to check with a lawyer before making threats. The homeowner association has legal authority in this neighborhood. Jake clenched his fists. I don't give a damn about what the homeowner association thinks it has. This is my land, and you're not welcome on it. So unless you have a warrant or a court order, you can get the hell out. The homeowner association cop's walkie-talkie crackled. A muffled voice asked for an update. The man pressed the button and muttered, "Homeowner is uncooperative." Jake took a step forward. I suggest you report back that the homeowner is pissed off and that if any homeowner association member sets foot on my property again, I'll call the cops for real. There was a tense silence. Finally, the homeowner association cop snapped his clipboard shut and turned toward the gate. "This isn't over," he muttered as he walked away. Jake stood there, watching as the man disappeared down the driveway. His fists were still clenched, and his heart pounded with anger. As soon as the homeowner association cop was out of sight, Jake grabbed his phone and started searching. Something about this smelled wrong. If the homeowner association had somehow annexed his home into their domain, there would be paperwork, a law, some sort of official record. And if there wasn't, then this was a scam, one that the homeowner association would deeply regret pulling on the wrong man. Jake wasted no time. As soon as the so-called homeowner association cop left his property, he grabbed his laptop and started digging. Something about the way the guy had spoken, the smug confidence, the thinly veiled threats, it all fell off. He had spent years carefully choosing a house outside any homeowner association's control, and now, out of nowhere, they were claiming ownership. It didn't make sense. His first stop was the county zoning office website. He searched for any updates on boundary changes or new homeowner association expansions. Nothing. There were no recent amendments or rezoning laws filed for his area. If the homeowner association had annexed his house into their control, it wasn't official. Next, he checked his property records. His deed, the one he signed when purchasing the home, still stated the same thing. Not under homeowners association governance. No signatures. No agreements. Nothing had changed. Then how the hell were they claiming otherwise? Frustrated, but more determined than ever, Jake decided to go straight to the source. If the homeowner association claimed to have expanded its reach, then surely they would have documentation to prove it. The next morning, he drove straight to the homeowner association office, a sleek but soulless building situated in the center of the nearby community. It was the kind of place designed to look official, but had no real authority beyond the neighborhood. It controlled inside the lobby was sterile, decorated with faux leather chairs and a few framed pictures of smiling families in front of perfectly manicured lawns. A large banner behind the reception desk read, "Maintaining a beautiful community together." Jake approached the desk, where a bored-looking woman in her 40s peered over her reading glasses. "Can I help you?" she asked in a tone that suggested she'd rather be anywhere else. "Yeah," Jake said, keeping his voice steady. "I need to speak to someone about why the hell your so-called homeowner association cop was trespassing on my property yesterday, claiming I owe fines for a pool on a property that isn't even in your damn homeowner association." The woman barely reacted. She picked up a thick binder from her desk and flipped through a few pages. Name and address? Jake Carter, 1478 Eastwood Drive. She scanned a few pages, then smirked. "Ah, yes. You're part of the recently absorbed properties under our homeowner association expansion. If you have concerns, I can direct you to our board members." Jake's blood boiled at the word absorbed. "That's interesting," he said, leaning on the desk, "because according to county records, my house isn't part of your homeowner association. And according to my deed, I never signed any agreement to be included. So how exactly did this absorption happen?" The receptionist didn't flinch. "You should speak to our homeowner association president about that. He's in a meeting right now, but I can schedule you for the next open appointment." "And when would that be?" She flipped through a digital calendar on her monitor, pretending to look. "The next available slot is in 4 weeks." Jake laughed bitterly. "That's cute, but I think I'll be speaking to him today." Before she could protest, he turned and walked straight toward the double doors marked board members only. "Sir, you can't just..." Jake pushed open the doors without hesitation. Inside, 5 people sat around a conference table, dressed in suits, sipping coffee like they were making billion-dollar deals instead of harassing homeowners. The man at the head of the table, a bald guy in his 60s with a permanent scowl, looked up in surprise. "Who the hell are you?" "Jake Carter," he said, stepping inside. "I live on Eastwood Drive, and yesterday, your little wannabe cop tried to find me for using my own pool. So now you're going to tell me exactly how you think you have jurisdiction over my property." The room went silent. A woman on the right, wearing a pearl necklace and an expression of forced politeness, was the first to speak. "Mr. Carter, this is highly inappropriate. You can't just— Oh, but apparently you can just walk onto my property and start handing out fake fines," Jake interrupted. "That's a bit more inappropriate, don't you think?" The bald man sighed and leaned back in his chair. "Mr. Carter, I assure you, everything was done by the book." "Great," Jake said. "Then show me the book." The bald man exchanged a quick glance with the woman in pearls, then cleared his throat. Due to recent zoning modifications, the Homeowner Association's jurisdiction has been expanded to include homes that were previously outside our governance. Your home falls under this modification. Jake folded his arms. "Yeah? Huh. Funny, because I checked the county records, and there are no zoning changes filed for my area. So either you guys pulled this out of your ass, or you're running a scam." A flicker of annoyance crossed the president's face. "There's no need to be hostile." "Oh, I think there is," Jake countered. "Because either you forged something, or you try to bully homeowners into compliance. So which is it?" The woman in pearls shot a glare at the bald man, then gave Jake a forced smile. "Mr. Carter, perhaps we could discuss this in a more civilized manner. If you'd like, we can review your property status in detail." "And review it now," Jake said, cutting her off. She hesitated, then finally stood and walked over to a filing cabinet against the wall. She pulled out a manila folder with Jake's address on it and set on the table. Inside was a printed document titled Northview Homeowner Association Property Inclusion. Jake scanned the page quickly. Then he saw it. At the bottom of the document, under Homeowner Agreement, there was a signature. His signature, or rather, a fake version of it. His blood ran cold. "Are you seriously trying to tell me I signed this?" he said, holding up the paper. "Because this is not my signature." The bald man tensed. The woman in pearls quickly spoke up. "Well, sometimes property agreements are automatically signed during title transfers, so it's possible that that's—" Jake snapped. "Because I never agreed to any homeowner association terms when I bought my house, and I'm guessing if I take this to a handwriting expert, they'll confirm what I already know. This is forged." Silence. Jake slammed the folder shut and stood. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to void this fraudulent document and remove my property from your records. Otherwise, I'll be speaking to a lawyer, the county zoning board, and every news outlet willing to cover an association committing fraud." The bald man clenched his jaw. The woman in pearls forced another strained smile. "Mr. Carter, we'll look into this and get back to you." "You have 48 hours, Jake said. "After that, I'm taking this public." He turned and walked out, leaving the Homeowner Association board stewing behind him. But as he stepped outside, he had a sinking feeling. These people wouldn't back down easily, and something told him the next move wouldn't be legal either. Jake didn't waste time. The moment he got home from his confrontation with the Homeowner Association, he called a lawyer. He explained everything: how the Homeowner Association was claiming jurisdiction over his home, how they had forged his signature, how they had sent their so-called Homeowner Association enforcer onto his property to harass him with bogus fines. The lawyer, a sharp and no-nonsense woman named Rachel Vaugh, immediately told him she would look into it. "The fact that they forged his signature is already a crime," she said. "And if they're enforcing fake zoning regulations, that's fraud too. I'll pull county records myself and draft a formal cease and desist letter." That was exactly what Jake wanted to hear, but something told him the Homeowner Association wasn't going to wait for legal paperwork before making their next move. And he was right. That very night, just past midnight, Jake woke up to the sound of banging metal outside his house. At first, he thought it was just the wind rattling something loose, but as he got out of bed and peered through the window, he saw two men in reflective vests standing by his pool. One of them was holding a clipboard, and the other was holding a measuring tape. stretching it across the pool's edge. Jake's blood boiled. He threw on some clothes and stormed outside, flicking on the backyard floodlights. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he barked. The two men jumped, then turned toward him with zero guilt on their faces. One of them, a tall, skinny guy with a beard, flipped through his clipboard like he had every right to be there. "Evening, sir. Just doing a standard homeowner association compliance inspection." Jake clenched his jaw. "It's midnight, and I'm not in the damn homeowner association." The second man, a short, stocky guy, shrugged. "Just following orders, buddy. Your pool's non-compliant with homeowner association guidelines. We're getting measurements, so we can send you an official violation notice." Jake had had enough. "Get the hell off my property before I call the police." The bearded guy held up his hands in mock innocence. "No need for that. We're just here to collect some data." Jake grabbed his phone and started recording. "I'm giving you one warning. You're trespassing. Either leave, or I'm calling the cops, and you can explain why you're harassing a private homeowner." The short guy muttered something under his breath, but the bearded man nodded. All right. No need to be hostile." He made a show of putting his clipboard under his arm, but before leaving, he pulled a plastic tag out of his pocket and slapped it onto Jake's pool fence. Jake stepped closer and ripped it off. The tag read, "Warning. Homeowner Association non-compliant structure. Fines will accrue daily until resolved." Jake took a deep breath, fists clenching at his sides. These guys weren't just trying to bully him, they were escalating. But fine, if they wanted to play dirty, he'd be ready. The next morning, he drove straight to the county sheriff's office. He showed them the trespassing footage, the fake homeowner association notice, and explained the situation. The deputy at the desk took one look at the video and shook his head. "Homeowner associations pull a lot of crap, but this is some next-level harassment," he muttered. "We'll send someone by to have a little chat with them. In the meantime, you can file an official complaint." Jake didn't hesitate. He filled out a formal trespassing report and even attached the video evidence. He also sent copies to Rachel, his lawyer, who promised to include it in the legal action they were preparing. But he knew the homeowner association wasn't going to stop. And he was right. That afternoon, when he got back home, a tow truck was sitting in his driveway, and his car was already hooked up. Jake slammed on the brakes, jumped out of his truck, and ran toward the driver, who was just about to get in. "What the hell are you doing?" he snapped. The tow truck driver barely looked up. "Homeowner Association ordered tow. Your vehicle's been cited for violation." Jake saw. "What violation? I'm not in the homeowner association." The driver pulled out a form from his dashboard. "Bo says here your car was parked in an unauthorized area." He pointed to a tiny sign that had magically appeared at the edge of his driveway. It read, "No parking in non-designated areas. Homeowner Association Rule 14B. Jake couldn't believe what he was seeing. The homeowner association had actually planted a sign on his property and was now using it as an excuse to tow his damn car. "Oh, you got to be kidding me," he muttered. "Take my car down now." The tow truck driver shrugged. "I don't know, man. You got to talk to the homeowner association about that." Jake grabbed his phone. "I'll tell you who I'm talking to, the sheriff's department. I've already filed a trespassing report against these people, and if you tow my car, you'll be part of the same damn lawsuit." The driver hesitated. "Look, I'm just doing my job." "You're towing a legally parked car from a house that isn't even in the homeowner association," Jake snapped. "You want to be part of a lawsuit? Be my guest, but I guarantee the homeowner association won't pay your legal fees." That did it. The driver grumbled something, but he lowered Jake's car back onto the pavement and drove off. Jake ripped the fake homeowner association sign out of the ground and threw it onto the curb. That was it. The gloves were off. That night, he sat down at his laptop and started digging. He wasn't just going to fight back. He was going to destroy them. The first thing he did was post a video of the midnight trespassing onto his neighborhood social media groups. Within minutes, comments started pouring in. "Wait, they did this to you too. The homeowner association is out of control. They forged documents? That's illegal. We need to take them down." Jake quickly realized something. He wasn't the only victim. The homeowner association had been pulling the same fraudulent tactics on multiple homeowners. One woman commented that she had received fake violation notices for a fence she had before the homeowner association even existed. Another guy said they had fined him for a tree in his yard, one that had been there for decades. The pieces started clicking together. This wasn't just about him. The homeowner association was running a racket, fraudulently fining and intimidating homeowners, expanding their reach illegally, and using fake violations to extract thousands of dollars from unsuspecting people. And they had picked the wrong guy to mess with. Jake sent everything to Rachel. The trespassing footage, the fake signatures, the false violations, the illegal towing attempt. Rachel didn't even hesitate. "We're not just going after them for fraud," she said. "We're going after them for organized criminal activity." Jake leaned back in his chair, staring at the growing storm on social media. The homeowners finally fighting back. He smiled. The homeowner association had no idea what was coming for them. Jake woke up to chaos. His phone was buzzing nonstop, calls, texts, social media notifications, all flooding in at once. His video exposing the homeowner association's midnight trespassing had spread like wildfire. The comments section had turned into a battleground, with dozens of homeowners coming forward with their own horror stories. He scrolled through the messages. "They fined me $500 for a mailbox. That's too modern. They put a lien on my house because I refused to pay for their landscaping services. They tried to say I wasn't allowed to barbecue in my own backyard. These people are scammers. Let's sue them." Jake grinned. Exactly what he needed. But then a new comment caught his attention. "Check the county records. The homeowner association has been inflating property values for years to overcharge fees." Jake froze. Property values? That was a serious accusation. If true, it meant the homeowner association wasn't just fining homeowners for bogus violations. It was manipulating financial records to justify inflated dues and fees. Jake immediately called Rachel. "I think I just found our smoking gun," he said. "Someone claims the homeowner association's been artificially inflating property values." Rachel was silent for a moment, then said, "That would be illegal as hell." Jake already knew what he had to do. He pulled up the county assessor's website, found his property record, and compared it to what the homeowner association had been claiming in their official notices. And there it was. According to the county, his house was valued at $340,000. But the homeowner association's membership inclusion letter, the one with the forged signature, listed his property's value as $480,000, a $140,000 difference. And if they had done this to every homeowner in the area, Jake clenched his jaw. This was fraud on a massive scale. He wasn't the only one who had caught on. By midday, an anonymous tip had been sent to the local news. A well-known investigative reporter, Lauren McAdams, posted on Twitter, "Hearing disturbing reports of homeowner association fraud in Northview. If you're a victim, DM me. We're investigating." Jake didn't hesitate. He sent her everything: the fake zoning claims, the forged signatures, the trespassing video, and now the inflated property values. Her response was almost immediate. "Holy, can we talk today?" That afternoon, Jake met Lauren at a nearby coffee shop. She was in her late 30s, dressed in business casual, but with the sharp intensity of someone who had exposed bigger scandals before. She already had her notebook open. When Jake sat down, Lauren said, "Tell me everything." For the next hour, Jake laid it all out: the harassment, the trespassing, the fake membership claims, the illegal fines, the attempted towing, and now the financial fraud. He handed over copies of documents, screenshots of homeowner association notices, and even the video of the homeowner association cop threatening him in his own backyard. Lauren flipped through the evidence, her expression hardening. "This isn't just fraud," she said. "This is organized corruption." Jake nodded. "That's what my lawyer thinks too." She looked up. "How far are you willing to take this?" "All the way," Jake said without hesitation. Lauren smirked. "Good, because I think we can bury these guys." That night, the first news report dropped. Headline: Homeowners accuse Northview Homeowner Association of fraud, harassment, and illegal property value manipulation. The report detailed everything: how homeowners were being forced into a homeowner association they never agreed to, how signatures had been forged, how the homeowner association was inflating property values to charge higher fees. But the best part? It included the trespassing footage. And that's when the real backlash started. Homeowners exploded on social media. We've been saying this for years. They've been robbing us blind. Finally, someone's exposing them. How do we file a lawsuit? Then came the phone calls. The county assessor's office issued a public statement. We are conducting a formal review into allegations of fraudulent property value reporting by the Northview Homeowner Association. The city council announced an emergency meeting. And most importantly, the homeowner association's phone lines were flooded with homeowners demanding refunds. But the homeowner association wasn't going down quietly. The next morning, Jake woke up to find a new violation notice taped to his front door. Except this one was different. Final warning: failure to comply will result in legal action. Temporary obliteration. And below it, in bold letters, eviction notice. Jake stared at it in disbelief. Eviction? They were actually trying to steal his home now? He laughed, a cold, humorless laugh. They had no idea just how screwed they were. He pulled out his phone and dialed Rachel. "Get ready," he said, because they just made the dumbest mistake of their lives. Jake stood on his porch, staring at the eviction notice taped to his front door. The paper flapped slightly in the morning breeze, but he didn't reach for it. He didn't need to. He had already memorized every absurd, fraudulent word printed on it. Final warning: failure to comply will result in legal action. Jake exhaled slowly, a sharp, humorless smile curling on his lips. The homeowner association wasn't just trying to fine him. They weren't just harassing him. They were trying to steal his damn house. He turned to face the storm head-on. They had no idea what kind of firestorm they had just unleashed on themselves. Without hesitation, he pulled out his phone and called Rachel Vaughn. "They finally went nuclear," he said the moment she answered. "How bad?" "They taped an eviction notice to my door." There was a pause. Then Rachel let out a low whistle. "Idiots," she muttered. "That's illegal on so many levels. They can't evict you from a home they don't own. They don't have the legal authority to remove you from your own property. And if they even try, they'll be facing criminal charges." Jake finished for her. "Exactly. I'll file an emergency cease and desist today, but you should get out in front of this." "Already ahead of you," Jake said, because he had one final move left. That afternoon, he went public. He recorded a video, standing in front of the eviction notice still taped to his door, holding it up for the world to see. "This is how far the Northview Homeowner Association is willing to go," he said, his voice steady. "Cold. They're trying to evict me from my own home, even though I was never part of their homeowner association, even though I never signed anything, even though I have proof that they forged my signature and committed fraud to claim my property." He scanned the camera with steely determination. "This isn't just about me anymore. This is about every homeowner they've bullied, extorted, and stolen from. And I guarantee they will be held accountable." He ended the recording and uploaded it everywhere. And the internet exploded. The public outrage was immediate. The news station that had covered the initial fraud story picked it up within an hour. Within 3, it was trending nationally. People from all over the country flooded the homeowner association's social media pages, calling them out for their corruption. The city council was bombarded with emails and calls from furious homeowners demanding action. And then came the real hammer blow. A state attorney publicly announced an official investigation into the homeowner association. Jake watched the live press conference from his living room, barely believing it was happening. The official, a sharp-nosed woman in a gray suit, stood at the podium reading from a prepared statement. "We are launching a full-scale investigation into allegations of fraud, illegal property annexation, and financial misconduct by the Northview Homeowners Association. Any homeowners affected by these practices should come forward immediately." Jake could hardly contain his satisfaction. They were screwed. But the best part came the next day. At 8 a.m. sharp, a convoy of law enforcement vehicles pulled up in front of the homeowner association office. Police officers marched inside, and within minutes, they were escorting out several board members in handcuffs. Jake had never seen justice served so fast. Within hours, the entire homeowner association board had been dismantled. Their financial records were seized. Their fraudulent violations were overturned. And best of all, the state attorney announced a class action lawsuit against the homeowner association. Every homeowner who had been extorted, scammed, or harassed now had the chance to sue them into the ground. Jake, he was the lead plaintiff. A month later, he stood on his back porch, watching the sun glint off the perfectly calm water of his private pool. No trespassing homeowner association cops. No fake finis. No midnight inspections. Just peace. And victory. His phone buzzed. Rachel, the final settlement came through, she said. The homeowner association is finished. The assets they had left are being liquidated to compensate the homeowners. You'll be seeing a payout soon. Good, Jake said. They deserve to be bankrupt. Rachel chuckled. Oh, they are. And the best part? The former board members are facing criminal charges. A few of them are trying to cut plea deals, but the state isn't playing around. They're making an example out of them. Jake smiled. Guess they should have thought about that before trying to steal my house. He hung up, took a sip of his cold beer, and leaned back in his chair. The homeowner association had tried to ruin him, but in the end, he had ruined them.